This is the Oracle system by Clank, a meticulously crafted 66 HP stereo desktop instrument. And in this video we're going to have a go at making some generative style music that's a little bit more experimental and shows off even more diverse ways of being able to create music with this. Okay, let's build something now a little bit more kind of noodly and flowy and generative and that kind of thing. And yeah, what I think I might do is combine the voices out of this Proteo and run that into one side of Axis, and do the same with this Proteo, run it into the other side of Axis. Put some lashings of reverb on there and play around with some of the aspects in chaos here and modulate the waveforms as well. So let's do that. I'm going to combine the voices here and run them into Axis. So first of all, let's take the output of this, run it into Axis, because I'm going to run this voice right hand side out into one side, into one, and then that one into another there. So that's going into the right hand side of Axis. Now, before we was triggering this envelope and that would open and close that for us, but I'm actually going to use the VCA input here. There's a VCA input which once it receives any CV signal, it will basically open and close that VCA. So I'm just take channel 6 here, it's kicking out CV. All we need to do is take the output then and run that into our speakers. There we go. So that's open. Now it's pretty random and there's a bit of clicking going on, so let's put a little bit of slew on there. And we can also change the amount of slew, make it a little bit more subtle, something like that, and a bit of reverb. Now, these two can kind of be offset and tuned using these little, using the spandials. Something like that. And we'll change the pitch of that as well. We'll also play around with the waveforms. So let's duplicate that on the other side. So if I take the output, this one, I'm going to run that into Axis, and then I'm going to take this side out and I'm going to run that into here, Proteo, and the other side of Proteo. So I'm summing them together and running them into Axis here, and take the output of that. I'm going to run it into the right speaker. So now we've got left and right. So you'll hear that in just a second. You saw I was just playing with the crossfader there because we are using kind of left and right inputs now. This crossfader allows us to switch the left and right over, and we can modulate that as well. When it's in the middle, everything's in the middle. So all we need to do is open that VCA, that side, and I'll take channel 5. So that's opening that now. If I pan them, you'll hear left and right, them opening and closing at different times. Let's put some slew on there. Oops. Just turn the amount of slew down a little bit, just so there's no clicks or anything like that. And we've got this droning, sort of semi-random, because these are not being controlled. The CV output here for channel 5 and 6, it's opening the VCA, it's just doing its own thing. We haven't looped it, they're completely kind of independently random, except they are working to the same master clock. And of course, we can simply just stick them on loop if we wanted to, if we wanted something a bit more predictable, just like we did in the previous video, but I'm going to leave it like that for now. What I might do though is introduce some wave shaping, I think, using the other CV outputs here, and run that into our input here. Well, you'll notice that these two white lights on here, it means that this is frozen, because you can actually, as you're morphing things, if there's a particular sound that you like, you can freeze it so it'll ignore any modulation coming in now, and it's kind of frozen, almost like a wavetable kind of thing, which is pretty cool. And then when you unfreeze it, you're back in action again. And let's just tune those. That's good enough for jazz. Let's do the same from here and run that in. In fact, just before I do that, because I don't want it does get a bit wild, let's just tame the amount of modulation that's coming in here. So if I just go to here, I can pull down the kind of range, the voltage range that's kicking out. I can also combine that with the attenuator. So we've just got more subtlety in the movement of the sound there. So let's copy that over onto this Proteo. Let's go into here. This one is now modulating that. And again, we can play around with that range. Play around with the window. This is where I find out they're completely out of tune. That's close enough for jazz. There you go, we've got something a little bit more kind of flowy and vibey. And just thinking now, you know, I've got 2 CV outputs left here, but I've got 6 gate outputs here. So I can use those to perhaps trigger the envelope here, because we're using the VCA input. We're not using this. VCA is being opened and closed by the CV, so we've actually got an output here that we can use to modulate things. So again, massive cable. Take the output of this envelope, which has been triggered now by that, and I can apply it to some different areas. What shall I do? Well, maybe I want to apply it to this morphing. Oh, pretty out of tune. And you can see how it's affecting that there on that channel. I might slow it down. like actually, but I might choose a different waveform. Yeah, something like that. More reverb. And again, I could take gate output of this one, and I could trigger the envelope here. To there. And take the output and run it into something else here on Proteo. What happens if we go to the span? It's probably going to play around with the pitch. I'm not sure if that's going to be useful. Kind of cool. Oh no, I'm going to run it into the morph that side. Try a different waveform. Something like that. If I go to our channel 1 here and I just slow this right down, it's going to slow everything down because everything's linked to the master clock. You can think of these more almost like as the filter within this, because when it reduces back down to the sine wave, we lose those harmonics. Effectively, it becomes a sine wave, so it's almost like it is a filter as much as it is a wave shaper. That's the way I think of it anyway. Let's put some pitch in here. Take the output of channel 2. Let's go into the pitch input of the first one. Right, let's tame that a little bit, because that's very high frequency, so let's tame that right down. Let's also put that so it's just doing octaves. Same channel 1 CV output. Let's go into the second CV input Proteo. Again, let's just tame that down a little bit and also put it on octaves. Oh, I was on the wrong channel there. So we've got waveform modulation going on, using the envelopes, using CV. We've got some pitch going on, both of them. We're summing them together, using the effects here. To be fair, if I patch this reverb in as stereo, there's a little switch here, it goes from mono to stereo, and this now becomes a left and right send. I just need another cable. Of course, I'm going to use the biggest cable I've got to run that back in. That'll give us stereo reverb now. Yeah. So just let it do its thing. There's things we like, we can freeze those waveforms. Unfreeze them. Change the amount of morphing. So we can just go down to the sine wave rather. Play with different wave shapes. Make them longer. We do get a gate output as well at the end of the time, so we could actually use those gates from there. See the red lights? Use those to trigger things. And we're not actually even using this here, which we could use. So like we did before, you know, perhaps a bit of control, again, I'll take that out and put it into the CV input. And then on the first two tracks, if I go into my sine mode and put this to red, also do that on the second track, I can now transpose using this. I can change the range of that. I could record it in if I wanted to. That'll loop around, change the speed of that. Put it into cycle mode. So that's now transposing. And I've got nothing here captured in the loop. Everything is random each time. But I'm using the chaos of it all. Lovely. I am tempted to see what it sounds like if we speed this up. So let's go to our overall time here on channel 1, which will speed everything up. Let's slow it right down. Go the other way. There you go. This is the Oracle system by Clank. I have to say I'm really impressed, not only with the quality of the build, the sonic capabilities of Proteo is just absolutely fantastic. I love this approach to the wave shaping and taking something from sub and changing the harmonic content. All the modulation you need is there. This time thing is just genius. And Chaos is probably going to become one of my favourite small form sequences for a number of reasons, and that it can just generate ideas very, very quickly with this without really having to think about what notes you're putting in, and that's quite exciting for me. The transformers on the output of this, by the way, they're second to none. The quality of the build is just absolutely fantastic in this. So I don't really have a bad word to say. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Clank do in the future, what other modules they're going to add to this as the system grows and grows and grows. I love seeing the philosophy grow as we see module makers put their systems together, and it's like climbing inside their head and trying to understand their approach to all of this. Anyway, thank you for watching the video. I know this has been a long one, but please do like, subscribe, hit the bell. It's really appreciated. And enjoy a little bit more of this. Bye for now.